Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Anachrony, where I have some concerns after seeing the AI's score in that last game, especially because I think I actually underscored it a little bit. Let me read you a little bit of the rulebook here about how the round is supposed to end in solo mode. Once the Chronobot has run out of exosuits, it takes a time travel action on its next turn, if able, then passes. I'm pretty sure that situation came up without me giving the AI the time travel action once or maybe even twice in that last game, so it probably should have had like 4 more points, and as such, an even larger and more impressive score gap. Yeah, so that's a problem. Listen, we're gonna try real hard this game, but it may just be the case that I am not grasping this as fully as I would like. Alright, let's talk about our faction for the day, the Path of Progress here. First of all, we're jumping into the game a little bit earlier in the setup process than we had in the previous episodes, because as you can see here on the right side of this setup card, the Path of Progress gets to start the game with a fully randomized breakthrough, and I wanted to make sure I got the roll for that breakthrough on camera here. And this happens, you get your starting resources before you make your leader choice. So we'll do this, and then we'll figure out our leader. We get the Circle DNA, which I am reasonably sure is not one of the breakthroughs. Yeah, it's not one of the breakthroughs depicted. That's fine. The likelihood of that was pretty low, right? Okay, so now we have our starting resources properly. We have 2 scientists, 2 administrators in the ready area, an engineer here, and then a smattering of cubes and cores and whatnot. So now we have to pick our leader. Let's talk about, first of all, our evacuation procedure here. We need 3 labs constructed in order to evacuate. We evacuate at a base score of 5 points, and when we do it, we receive an extra 2 points for each pair of breakthrough plus scientist that we have. It seems to me like it's going to be really hard to get the value out of this that we got out of the other evacuation actions, but, you know, maybe I've been undervaluing breakthroughs. I guess a good way to think about it for this game will be that as long as we can keep our scientist count up, each breakthrough is worth at least 3 points, right? 1 for enabling a pair, and 1 for the breakthrough itself. And then every third breakthrough is worth an additional 2 points on top of that. So, the research action is pretty good for us, as long as we can recruit enough scientists. If we could get to like 2 pairs of breakthroughs and 6 scientists, this is actually pretty great, honestly. So with that in mind, let's talk about our leaders. Now, one of them interacts with the research mechanics, so I wanted to make sure we had established that context first. Librarian Cornella makes it so that when you take a research action, you can pay 1 water to also set the second die. So you get exactly the breakthrough that you want. Obviously, this is pretty valuable in terms of buying super projects. I don't know if we're going to buy a lot of super projects, though, because, like, my feeling is that I'm probably not building enough of an engine, right? We're not getting enough buildings that create actions, and obviously, every super project we get fills up more space that could be going to buildings, so we might not want to be buying 2 super projects all the time. I don't know. I'm a little torn on what to do here. Patron Valerian, on the other hand, has a once per round free action that... It's not an action. This is templated terribly, and I played a whole game misunderstanding this because it's templated wrong. What it does is it makes it so that when you play, once per turn, when you play one of your powered exosuits out onto the board, you can play it empty, and it is treated as though there is a scientist in it. It essentially saves you a worker. But it's not an action by itself. You use an action token to mark it, but it doesn't actually do a thing by itself. It modifies the way you take a different action. So it really ought to just be templated like one of these, just a passive that says once per round, or once per era, but whatever, that's a minor quibble. There are some templating problems in the rulebook, for sure. It's not a big deal. Let's talk about the other stuff that the Path of Progress brings. First of all, probably most relevant, look at the mech bays. Each one of our mech bays is powered by either a power core or any one basic resource cube, which is bananas, obviously extremely powerful. Definitely the best thing about this faction. Down here at the morale track, you can see our morale track is a little bit more valuable than everybody else's. An extra point for each step on the positive side, but it's also quite expensive. This is a lot of water. In addition, this should not be here, we have kind of a weird time travel track. It caps out at 16, like many other factions, but it starts really slow. You have to get up to like here before you're scoring the amount of points that everybody else scores. So it's really important to make at least this many time travels, I think. Obviously, though, there's a lot of points on this track. We should be time traveling way more than we have been in previous games. We also have this iconography here. Any scientists assigned to buildings at our power plant or factory or lab rows come back ready, which is pretty cool. We do not get administrators back ready from the refresh action like most other people do, but that's not a big concern. And of course, 4 spaces on the paradox track, so it takes a little bit more work for us to get an anomaly, which is awfully nice. I think we're going to go really hard on time travel this game, which means we're going to be doing a lot of warping, so this may well save us an anomaly. Alright, so we do have to make this decision at this point. I'm pretty torn. Librarian Cornella, like, we already are going to have to take at least 1 research action for any breakthrough we want, since we didn't roll one of these symbols. So Librarian Cornella can make that research action the best, and thus save us a breakthrough right away. And then if there's any other super project we want, she does make it really easy to get. My concern... I think we're going to go Valerian. Like, saving a worker every round is probably better than... Like, this is effectively saving a worker once, right? Well, once per time you use it. Well, except it's not really saving a worker once, right? Because I was saying that because it's like, well, you play an extra breakthrough. You play an extra research action, you get the extra breakthrough you needed. But because that breakthrough has more value than just the action, right? Because it interacts with our evacuate and because it has a point on it itself, it's not quite as clean as I'm making it sound. That said, I think we're going to stick with Valerian, extra workers. It's probably only going to be relevant early game, but early game is when it matters most. So, yeah, I think that's what we're doing. Yeah, I dealt everything out. We got our basic buildings up. We got our recruitment and our mine. So, real quick look at the buildings. Just some pretty straightforward time travel buildings. This one with the variable range is kind of neat. Also, it's nice to get a victory point every time you use your time machine, but there's something to be said for 4 range. Pretty straightforward factories. Obviously, buildings that convert cubes into power cores. Not too interesting for us. There are actually some pretty good water producers here, especially for us, because we started with 2 administrators. It's very likely that we will have a guy available for this. And then down here in the lab area, spend a cube to get 2 points. Seems pretty solid. And also have an administrator spend 2 water to get you a genius seems pretty solid. I think these are both great. So we're going to need a ton of water. I am definitely inclined to push for this early. I think this is our first focus. I think that's really, really good. And then obviously, if the AI does not mine on its first action, we should take the mine because we need to deny them neutronium. We keep them off of their resource sets. Yeah, so that's where we're... Oh, and the super projects. We have the Archive of the Eras, which is +1 point for each space your time travel marker has moved. Could be really valuable, actually. And the Neutronium Research Center, which is compelling, but also costs 2 neutronium and eats a scientist when it's played. And honestly, I don't know. I don't know if this is worth building. It probably is. It's just 8 points plus it... I mean, if it costs you 2 breakthroughs, it's not actually a gain of breakthroughs, though, right? It's breakthrough neutral. So I guess this would be more interesting if we had gone with the librarian. Yeah, maybe we don't end up... we don't have to build any super projects, really. We can just hold all of our breakthroughs. It's not a terrible idea. Okay, so we've done phases 1 and 2, obviously. Let's go to Power Up, where we do the thing that, of course, we do. why would I not power all the way up? And then our first warp phase. So the AI is first player at the beginning of the game. How many tokens do they warp in? They bring in 1. And then we have a decision to make here. So I definitely want to spend uranium titanium in a real early build. Do I want to get a time machine established immediately? I probably do, right? So we're going to need a neutronium. We're hoping to be able to get it from the mine. But if the AI rolls a 3 right off the bat, maybe we should warp in a neutronium just to be safe? And then, like, it's probably a worker, right? In fact, it's almost certainly an engineer, because we don't start with a readied engineer. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And if we do get the neutronium, then we'll just have an extra neutronium. We'll find a use for it. So you and you. And of course, when we bring in the engineer, we gotta spend water, because I assume that before you time travel human beings, you tend to reduce them to a powder for stability, and then they gotta be rehydrated on the other side. And then it is time for proper action rounds. Welcome to the first Phase 5 of the game. The robot would like to build a power plant. And it would prefer the high-value power plant, which is a shame, because that's the one I wanted. That said, it is only a 2-point building, and we have to be happy anytime the AI builds a 1 or a 2-pointer, right? So it behooves us to mine. And the question is this the moment when we use this guy? Because I probably don't want to commit my engineer to mining, right? I want to use my engineer to build something. So yeah, I think this is when we do it. I'm gonna drop this. We're going to play an empty suit in the mine, and we're going to grab probably titanium neutronium. I think that makes the most sense. Oh, also I got to remember to actually spend my 3 power cores for suits. Yeah, let's make it titanium neutronium. We will need titanium whatever we are doing next. I'm real happy to keep this neutronium out of the clutches of the devious Chronobot. Devious Chronobot who rolls a 2 and takes another construction action. And grabs a lab, this one, which I think is pretty great, and I'm actually very bummed that we didn't get that. Okay, well, I think it behooves us to build now. Let's just go ahead and take this space, claim first player, and get that water building. At a cost of this plus that. And what did we reveal? Okay, I mean, that's a fine building. I like the fact that now there's 2 1-pointers showing. That'll help with the AI stealing our building spaces at least. And now the AI mines. So it would like a uranium and a gold if possible. There's 2 different ways to do that, and I don't really... It doesn't make a difference which way it goes here. So 3 of the AI's mechs are out already. The AI might actually run out of stuff to do. Does it have recruit available? It doesn't. We definitely need to steal the genius, but it doesn't have to be right this second. Oh, I forgot to pay water for the thing for that space I took. So, what I'm saying is, we could probably go and just get water right now. And then potentially build. Although I guess, were I to build, I would want to do so with a genius. We could play this space, get a genius, and take 2 water. But I mean, that's not what I want to do, right? I want to take the power core. Because we don't want to spend extra cubes right now. We kind of need all our cubes for building. The AI is going to build on a 3 or a 4. So there's a pretty decent chance that we're going to lose our chance to build if we don't get ready for it right now. if we do recruit genius as engineer, we're going to find ourselves in a really rough position on that. Alright. The other thing we could do is just, I guess, just play this. And then we can build next turn, but we have to build with no cube discount, which I don't like. If we have to pay an extra cube, that's the same thing as us not getting the power core in the first place, right? So yeah, I am going to do this. We'll go to recruit, we'll take the genius, and we'll get the scientist 2 water bonus. And now we can build off of our genius if the AI does not steal the last building space here. And if they do, it's not the end of the world, we'll find something else to do. Is that, yep, that is one of the things on that space. Well, the good news is the AI gets a 1-pointer. You know, it did do 3 builds in the first turn, but it only got 5 points of buildings out of them, so that's something. So we still have 3 suits left. And I don't know what to do with them. I mean, we should definitely do a research. That's a no-brainer. Right now, we have enough cubes that we don't actually have to worry about... we don't have to worry about powering our suits. We're totally fine on that. We can recruit again. And honestly, maybe should. Yeah, probably should, right? I guess this doesn't have to be a... Well, I was going to say it doesn't have to be an administrator, but it can't be a scientist either. So actually, do we want to take an engineer? I know we want more scientists for our bonus, but you need a certain number of engineers just to run your deal. I guess we have 2 plus a genius right now. And we definitely also want scientists. Because, So actually, we have to pay a water to do that, and then we receive 2 water, so we're good here. We also want scientists to run all of our buildings, obviously, so that matters. Those are important. Okay, and what will you do? You will gain water. A gutsy play if ever I've seen one. And then I think I should probably do research before the AI has the chance to steal it from us. So we got a circle there. I guess let's declare... We could declare square and try to get lucky. Because I'm not going to build this if I have to spend 2 breakthroughs for it anyway, right? I mean, it does have 8 points on it. Yeah, I'm going to declare square and try to get lucky. If we pull one of these 2 symbols, I'll be pretty happy. And if not, then we're just working toward a set. Square people. That is not one of the lucky ones. By the way, in setting these out like this so they're easier to interact with, I realized that there are in fact 3 breakthroughs of each size, or each shape and icon combination. So it really is not feasible to block people out of them. Alright, the AI would like to roll a research action. Hey, look at me and my foresight. You have rolled circle, and none of the circles are meaningful, so just take the one that I got out of envy. And then we have 1 suit left, and also we have to apply a genius to this. All of the capital actions are gone, so we could just mine. Does the AI still have a token on mine? It does. It's mine or get water or trade. And I think it's gotta be mine. Because we're gonna get water here in a second, and that's gonna be enough water for us to be able to do stuff. Yeah, I think... Let's send you to the mine and have you claim this gold plus... I guess we don't have a uranium right now. So grab this instead of a 3rd titanium. Bot's gonna roll a 2 and attempt to mine, but fail. And instead receive some of this stuff. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was a better idea to let the AI do that so that it would run its turn out, but I do actually want the cubes, right? Like, they're actually quite valuable. Alright, it's 5 water for me, and then I think I pass after this. So the AI gets one more roll. It rolls the thing it can't do. Well, that's going to bug me. There we go. Let's get that nice and aligned. Alright, and then I pass. We're good. And this is the guy who pulls the the refresh lever next turn. So, you come back tired. Yeah, everybody comes back tired. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with the number of workers we have ended up with already. First turn warping a guy plus double recruit does put you in a pretty good spot, and it's making me wonder if maybe I made a bad call with Valerian. Because, like, are we going to have problems with having enough workers to get things done? It sort of doesn't seem like it, right? Alright, yeah, and then there's nothing else to do in Era 6 just yet. So this bounces over. We reveal the cloning vat. Put in a guy to get another guy out, but the new guy goes directly into the tired pool, which is a shame. An unusual breakthrough cost. I don't really think this is very interesting for us. Okay, once again, there is neutronium in the pool here. And there's a genius in the recruitment pool as well. Both of these are things that we want very badly to keep away from the AI. And then buildings, right. Okay, that's interesting, especially for us, where the paradoxes are a little bit less dangerous than usual. Apparently, here's a second copy of that building. Turn a single water into a cube is exciting. Okay, so this is strictly worse than this one for us, because if we have a scientist do the time travel thing, he comes back ready anyway. Unfortunately, the AI will prefer to take the one that's good for us. So now it is paradox time. We get to roll the paradox die for Era 1. That is a real cry and shame right there. And then power up. Power up time. So obviously, we are core and 2 cubes. There is not much of a reason not to do this. I don't know what the 2 cubes are, and remember, they can't be neutronium. They have to be basic. So we definitely want to build a power plant. I think it's going to be like this. And we're going to go get more cubes real early in the turn anyway, right? And then it is the warp phase. And I do not get to see the AI's warps before I do mine. Do we want to, like, not warp anything? I mean, obviously warping things is dangerous because of anomalies, but also we need to warp to be able to time travel. Or to be able to get points for time traveling. So yeah, maybe we want to bring in something. So we have neutronium already. We definitely want to... Do we have a factory that we want to build? I mean, the no person cost 1 water makes a cube or a power core building does seem pretty good. And we also want to pull a lab. So we do kind of want a uranium cube, and I think, like I said, I think we gotta pull stuff so that we have things to refund later. So we don't desperately need another titanium, but it might not be horrible to have it. And those cubes are those warp tiles are usually pretty easy to clean up. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. So we will grab these to give ourselves some opportunities in the near future, and then the AI will also do some warping. It will warp a tile. Okay. And so we move on to the action rounds. So I think the first thing we're going to do... Let me see, where are your cubes? You can't mine or recruit right now. So I guess actually the first thing I'm going to do is just refresh. So 5 water gets us 3 points and a crew of workers. Yeah, the fact that the AI can't actually recruit right now does make things a little bit easier for us. So you have a 4, build factory. Of course, what it can do is just lock me out of every build space every turn for all of the foreseeable future. That's a possibility. Alright, now that we've done this, we do need to build... The AI has 3 tokens on build life support. So I sort of... I don't want to build here and then have the AI do this immediately. So I think I'm going to just recruit right now. I'm just going to buy time for a second here. So let's definitely take the genius. And what do we want? Do we want a power core? Honestly, we might want 2 water. Because again, we have cubes, and we are going to be taking a mining action at some point during the turn, so we'll end up with even more cubes. But we're also going to be doing this at some point during the turn. I'm gonna take a core. I don't know, man. I don't know if that was right. Alright, you are taking action 5, which is one of these. So the AI builds a 2-point life support building. Don't feel too horrible about it. It revealed, immediately get 3 water, and then once per turn get 1 water, which is fine. That's an okay building. Alright, so now is when we need to build. So it's going to cost 2 water plus almost certainly 1 water, because I don't think I want to go factory, although, you know, this factory is available. But I think I want this. I think this is just quite a good, simple use time machine. So, gold, water, neutronium, titanium. Yeah, I think that that is valuable to have done. So what do we have out here? We have return neutronium. Honestly, probably what's going to happen. Just buying us some time travel. Alright, and you have rolled take a time travel action. Well, congratulations on your doing that thing. We're going to get so many anomalies. Okay, what is next? We have 4 mech suits left. And I mean, I'd like to build again, but we have to get water before we can do that. And we can't recruit for water this time, so I think I would rather play this action than send a scientist and a mech to get water. That's probably pretty uncontroversial. Damn it, how did I manage to completely miss all 5 of those? Alright, please don't take the other build spot. You would prefer to take the refresh action, and you do just barely have enough water to do so. Listen, we all gotta spend a turn just rehydrating our workers, just liberally dousing them here and there. Alright, so 1 water for that, plus water, titanium, uranium for a lab, and the question is, which lab? I do like Get Genius. Right now, we're not really suffering in terms of workers. Like, I think we're doing just fine. And we're going to tend to recruit anyway. I think I'm going to take this, honestly. Oh, wow, that's a good building. I guess it actually kills the scientist, so that's a downside, but boy. Delicious. Scientists are full of delicious victory fluids. Yeah, like, every 4 times we use this, we will gain 8 victory points and lose 3 victory points. It seems pretty alright. The AI rolls a 5 and performs a recruit action, preferring of these two an administrator. That, I think, is just fine by us, right? And the AI still can't mine, so we don't really need to worry about the mine too much. Let me just do this now so I don't forget to do it. Also, I forgot to reclaim this last turn. So we are intentionally going to push ourselves into an anomaly here, and I'm fine with that, honestly. We can clear up anomalies. It's not a big deal. And then our proper actions. So we have 2 geniuses and 2 scientists and 3 mechs, and one of the mechs can go out empty. So yeah, I think that reinforces that I don't really need extra workers. So we probably want to do some research, right? Breakthroughs are valuable for us. We also want... We do want that neutronium cube. We will make use of it. So, can you research? You cannot. In fact, almost all of your actions are build at this point. So yeah, nothing is immediately obviously contentious, and anything that becomes contentious we can just sort of dive in front of. I guess let's just go ahead and do this. We'll send an empty mech out to do this, right? We don't have a loose engineer. We could have a... You know what? Actually, we shouldn't send an empty mech. We should send a genius. Because that genius will stay ready. Do we want to grab... Another time machine would cost us gold. Another lab would cost us uranium. And we do need to get all of our labs finished. Building another time machine is not necessarily a super high priority. Maybe I should be looking towards something else. Let's grab gold neutronium. Because we'll need a gold if we build a time machine or if we build a factory. And I think we're pretty likely to build a factory, honestly. Alright, what do you got? You got another 5, which is an action you cannot take. We are running out those contentious worker placement spots real fast this game. Very quickly indeed. So, let's go research, I guess. This is the part where we use one of these. And we want a square, right? Nope, we want a triangle. Listen, I know we all know, but I'm still going to set the die. So we got question mark triangle. Unfortunately, it's impossible to know which symbol will actually be valuable. So I'm gonna go clock. I know for sure at least one of the super projects has clock triangle on it. Now that I've said that, I don't feel sure at all. Okay, and 5 would be this, but it can't be, so instead you try to recruit and find that it is an impossible task. You know, honestly, the AI is not doing a terrible job here. Alright, so what does our last suit do? We can have a scientist, or more likely a genius, do this and pluck a neutronium out of the time stream, or rather, put one back in. So what do we want this last mech suit to do? It could just be another research action. It could be get cubes. It could be get water. Right now, we'll have to pay 100% of our spare building resources to keep our mechs powered. So maybe this last mech suit should be... How many scientists do we have in total? 3 right now. So I'm not, like, super pressed to get more research. I think I am going to send you out as though you were an engineer. And we'll grab titanium gold this time. So we can still have some stuff to build with after power up. The AI is going to roll a 5 and once again receive a victory point. Definitely not super happy about the way this is going. I do think, though, it behooves us to do this thing before round end. So reclaim our neutronium and then get a whole point on the time travel track. We're really doing it. This is... Why are these arranged like this? Okay. There's 3 workers. The workers should all go together. There's 4 cubes. The cubes should make the top line. And honestly, the neutronium should be at one of the ends. Okay. Yeah, and then the AI gets one more turn, and then I think we pass. The AI is going to take a victory point into water, because it cannot, in fact, remove an anomaly either. Okay, well, it's certainly ready for its next refresh. And then I pass. So you come back tired, you come back awake, you come back tired. Okay, I was just trying to grab this, but you guys both get to come back awake, which is lovely. And then we get 2 tired engineers and a tired administrator. So we have a little bit of time this round before we need to fire up the old hose. Which is nice. We actually get to take advantage of our first player a little bit more. Gotta remember to pull these. Yeah, okay. Focus token forward. The particle collider. Honestly, not amazing. We are certainly not having trouble getting neutronium. There's no shame in, waiting potentially for a super project or even not taking one at all. Okay, once again, a neutronium cube, creating potential danger for all of us. And new recruits. At least this time they do include a... Oh no, wait. Still have 2 engineers. At least this time they do include a scientist for us, in addition to the genius that we are tremendously motivated to take. Another way of juicing a worker, in case you just desperately need those fluids. This doesn't seem too bad. Very straightforward time machine. And this is remove one of your warp tiles from the timeline, which, obviously, little bit of tension between doing this and making sure you're getting all your time travel off. And that's everything, right? Yeah, that's a full phase 1, so phase 2, the paradox time. Let's roll here. Okay, not a big surprise there. So we take an anomaly, it has to go here, and it removes one thing from the timeline. I'm going to have it remove this worker from the timeline, so we don't have to pay back a worker. That is a little annoying, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to make sure we pay those off with people who are not scientists. And then power-up phase. 0 surprise, I'm sure. We go full on this. I think we'll spend those 2 cubes. And the AI, of course, has their 6. And then the warp. And then it is time for the warping. So... if we warp in some water, we won't have to worry about water until later in the turn. I think I'm a fan of that. And also, this is just like a really easy warp token to pay off later. And I think we might just warp one thing this time, just to try to keep paradox generation a little bit under control. It would be easier to know what the right number is if we were going second and could see how many tokens the AI is going to warp in. But I think I want to try to match it and create a situation where it at least potentially could get an anomaly. I think that would be nice. So we'll go ahead and do that. And it is going to warp in 0 tiles, because of course it is. It's a shame it doesn't suffer any penalty for doing that. Alright, well then that makes it action round time. Can the AI mine? No, and the AI can also not recruit. So we're not in a huge hurry to do either of those things. I mean, probably we would like to build, except we can't. We could build a factory, but obviously it would be very silly to do so. We could build a time machine, actually. And I probably should, right? We should probably have another one of those. I think, once again, that makes sense. So let's put a genius in a mech, take the top build space, and build ourselves a second time machine. At a cost of exactly all of our cubes and 2 water. And what did we reveal? Okay, a version of this thing that doesn't keep the scientist ready by default and gives 4 points. That is a time machine I would be very interested in having. Except that I just built all my, like... This one costs 2 neutronium. That's not happening soon. Alright, what do you got? You have a 5, which is a research action. How dare you? Circle it is. How about a crosshair? Pretty happy to see a second circle there. Alright, so that has made it possible for the AI to mine. So let's go ahead and send out an empty mining suit. I'm going to save this genius. We'll send out an empty mining suit and grab ourselves another titanium. I'm sure we will need it. And you are, in fact, going to mine immediately after I do that. So you want a titanium and then, like, also a uranium if possible. So they're ready. They're ready to pop that set. We just got to make sure that they never have access to neutronium. Ever. And that put someone on build. So if the AI were to build a water building now, they would only get a 2-pointer. That's not so bad. We do need to build more labs. We also need to clear this out, but I think that's not going to be a problem. I have neutronium to feed it. So before we do our refresh, we will have to take a water action. I may as well commit that now, I guess. Right, because we're going to want to do that refresh, like, quite soon. In fact, I may have just goofed here. That might be a bad move. Oh, no, but it has to be the genius. Yeah, that's fine. We committed. That's fine. Because now, yep, the AI rolls this. Moves to here. Grabs a 2-point water building. Oh, interesting. So the water building that it just revealed is half the cost of your refresh action. Your action costs half rounded up of what it used to cost. So that is definitely compelling for us. But it also means that they now have the ability to recruit. So I think I have a question to ask myself, which is, am I going to do a force to get people powered up now so that I can immediately take a recruit action with an administrator? Or are we going to do... I think I'm going to have hope here. I'm going to choose to have hope. We're going to pay our very expensive 7 water for the refresh. And the AI is just not going to roll that number. And then, you know what? Before I do that, I should do this so that I don't forget. Alright, just don't roll a 2. That's all that has to happen. You just have to not fucking... Alright. Because of course they do. So now we have to keep them off of either engineers or scientists. And I mean, honestly, we are already incentivized to recruit scientists, so maybe it's not going to be so bad. Oh, I should actually put out the exosuit as well. Alright, I should have known though, right? Like, they can't recruit again right now, so that's not a huge priority. Taking that building space would be cool, but we definitely can't do it with the resources we have on hand. So maybe this is a good time to mine again? Yeah, I don't hate that. Let's do that. We might get robbed on this. Honestly, though, are these just time travels? Maybe we're not building again this turn. Yeah, I'm not sure, actually. Because if we do this as 2 time travels, we bump ourselves up to here on the track already. And then we are still short resources for powering up our mechs next turn. It's a thing we gotta figure out. Yeah, I don't know. But we did that. So the AI gets a turn, and it rolls a 2, if you can believe it. It only rolls whatever number would be best for it all of a sudden. It's actually doing a lot of that this game. Alright, so it builds a factory. It gets a 2-pointer. I mean, I'll say this. At least the AI is mostly building 2-point buildings. So we're not probably going to see quite as many building points as last game. Although if it fills out the building stacks, which it may well do, it'll still score north of 20. Alright, so there is only 1 space left for building. If I have to decide right now. If I'm not going to build, we have to make that call. I do like this an awful lot. What does the life support building cost for us? We could afford it. Oh no, we can't. Because we have to pay 1 water for the build space. So actually, we're kind of desperate for water. Like, we got our early water and then we spent it all because water buildings. So actually, I kind of think we have to do this thing. I guess I had a bunch of tokens right there. Whatever. Alright, AI, show me whatever devastating thing you're going to do. You're going to build. Hey, what a surprise. This time they do get a 4-pointer. I wasn't going to do anything about that. The AI's luck so far has been, like, really phenomenal, though. I wonder if it is even possible to win against this level of luck. And then that was the AI's last suit, so on the next turn it's going to time travel, removing its only other source of paradox tokens from the board. Yeah, this is really harsh. So we have 4 workers here. I'm going to send an administrator to recruit a scientist. So we'll pay a water and then gain 2 water. And then you just time travel, and you're out. And then we have some interesting actions available. So if we want to power up our mech suits, if I'm talking about paying off these 3 cubes to remove the anomaly and then buy off these time travels, we need to get 2 more cubes from somewhere. We could use somebody to trade 3 water for 2 cubes, because we can't mine again. I think that's okay. So that's the last mech suit. So we do, like, scientists in both of these. We probably feed the administrator to this, and we have the engineer go do a trade. So 3 water becomes any 2 cubes, doesn't really matter what, because we are intending to burn them immediately. And then scientists back to here. Sorry, pay this off. And then scientist, back to here, pay this off. Ugh, I hate how they're all misaligned. I'm going to resist the urge to spend a bunch of time putting them back in alignment. So that gets us another time travel, and we're doing just fine on that. Honestly, it may be worth our trouble to get back here and get this. How many points would it have to be for it to be worthwhile? Because we're sacrificing 2 breakthroughs to get it. Right now, it's looking like it's probably going to be like... It's 8 right now. It could potentially get up to like 10. Yeah, you know what? I don't think it is going to be worth it. And then we are going to pay this off. I think that's important. So we burn this thing. Yeah, and then I pass. And we're going to have a couple scientists up to do the ready action. So you guys both come back ready. As do you. And then we have a genius and an administrator here. So we now have 3 scientists to go with our 3 breakthroughs. An 11-point evacuate doesn't really sound all that good. So we'll just have to keep pushing on that. Yes, I got all my workers back. No, I did not. I missed the guy in the trade suit and the guy in the water suit. So we have 4 scientists, in fact. We have a 3-point breakthrough available to us. And then once we have that, you know, there's significant incentive to go for a second set of shapes. We do have to get the AI suits back. Yeah, if I'm honest, I don't think this is going very well. Okay, the ultimate plan is pretty unexciting. I suppose one thing in favor of the Neutronium Research Center is that it does prevent the AI from taking an 8-point super project, but, I mean, they'll just take a 7-pointer, right? Like, it's not actually that big of a difference. Okay, no scientists available. Oh, there already were 2 engineers out. No scientists available for recruit is a real shame. Also, that's a bit of a shame. The AI can't mine right now, but man, I don't want to have to take 2 mine actions for this. That's frustrating. Maybe they'll never get to it. You know, it's not like mining action, or it's not like mining for neutronium's the worst thing in the world. We could, after we take 2 neutronium, we can get a pretty damn good administrator trade action off at least. And then over here. Okay, remove a paradox tile. That's interesting. Just generate 3 water, generate cores, and... Interesting. It's kind of wild that this one's worth 1 point when this one's worth 3 points, and this is so much better. Like, in theory, this allows you to trade an infinite number of resources for points at a rate of 1 per 1, but honestly, I don't think that's a good trade-off. Like, a 1-to-1 straight-up cubes to resources is worse than you get by using cubes for almost anything else, isn't it? I mean, I guess there are probably some buildings that aren't up to that value, but that, yeah, this just seems real bad. Alright, so that's phase 1. Phase 2, paradox time. There is only 1 paradox roll. I have rolled a 0. Hooray! And then power up. And then warp. And the AI is first again, so okay. We get to see that it does not put up any warp tokens. Like, the AI's power should probably be reduced in some way when it doesn't put up warp tokens. Let me make 100% sure that that's Yep, Chronobot does not gain anything for its warp tiles, so it's just always better for it not to warp. That is a real bummer. So we should probably bring in building resources, right? Because we're going to need them. So we have to... Jeez. Yeah, we're in a rough spot. Okay. So what we need to do is bring in uranium titanium. That's my feeling. And then we can use these to construct that building that halves the cost of our refreshes, which I think is going to turn out to be pretty relevant to us. Okay. AI, take your turn. Rolls a 1, which I believe it cannot actually benefit from. It doesn't have a warp tile to remove, so it just does the 0.2 water thing. Which is about as good as taking a time travel action for it anyway. And then we are going to build. Quickly build on this space. We're going to grab this water building, which I think is really good for us. At a cost of... Yep, 1 and 1 and 1. And now our refresh only costs 4 water instead of 7, which means we can get it using one of these scientists, and yeah, this makes our lives a lot easier, although it does mean that I don't have access to most action types for a minute here. Alright, you are definitely able to perform a refresh action. So, do I actually want to send the scientist out for this? I mean, I guess there's no reason... Also, I gotta remember to... Well... I had to say, I gotta remember to reclaim these tokens, but I am just gonna do both the actions right now, so I guess let's just leave them in place. Just gain 2 points again. And then, yeah, we're gonna send out an empty science mech suit to the water gatherer. Hold on, I definitely have water over here. What am I doing? Alright, you are also interested in gathering water. The AI is so overwhelmed by the power of our strategy that it can think of nothing to do except for totally copy us. Alright, so all 4 water into the refresh. But you know, that's another 2 points. That's something. Then a 3, which is over here. Okay. So it already has the full set, but it still plays on the space and blocks us. And, of course, it takes its points. It's just going to get a point every action for the rest of the entire game. And we have to do better than that. So, no matter what we're going to do next, it's going to cost water, right? Like, I guess we could recruit. Oh no, we can mine. And we probably should. Well, I guess we know the AI can't mine, and we'll get 2 turns notice before it does. So maybe that's not the thing to worry about first. Maybe right now, while we have a moment of relative peace, we take the get water action. Because I would love to get to a place where I can contest actions. Alright, so you can build a lab, and that's annoying. You do it in this space. Take a 3-point lab, and hey, it's actually a lab I really wanted. Yeah, we're getting extremely dunked on here. Okay, so now that that's off the table, you've moved a token onto the ability to research. I guess I'm gonna research. Get the free research space locked in. So does it matter? I suppose in theory, You know what? I would still take this if we got the appropriate square. So let's roll square. Nope. Okay, square DNA. That's fine. We'll just build a third set here, or a second set. Make sure we do that while it is still free to do so. And hey, would you look at that? You know what? You get a DNA square as well. DNA squares for everybody. Okay, so now the AI can mine. I should have mined after it did. Yeah, whatever. I'm sure it won't be a problem, right? There's no way it'll roll 2 for a third time in a row, a second time in a row. Right? Okay. 4 is build. Build lab is a thing you can do. You get this. Well, the good news is the AI is going to no longer be able to steal buildings from us pretty soon because it will have built all of the buildings it's allowed to get. It's not great news, I guess. All right, let's mine again, and does it matter what we get? I mean, I guess it should be uranium. We gotta make sure the AI cannot get this. Yeah. Alright, and then, like I said, I think we're gonna use this mech to just turn these neutronium cubes into a ton of other resources. So the AI rolls a 6 and scores merely a victory point since we are still pre-impact. And then I don't see any reason to wait on this, really. So twice we can turn purple cube into 2 other cubes. Let's get 2 titanium. And then a titanium and a gold. And I think our plan is to just spend these 3 to power up mechs. Oh no, yeah. We will still want to spend 3 to power up mechs. The mech bays we lose are the free ones, of course. Yeah, I think that's sensible. AI rolls a 1, cannot time travel, or cannot remove an anomaly, and as such just does this. And then we have we have 1 time travel action left. Go ahead and pay off our 2 water token here for another point of sweet time travel, and that was the jump, right? That was where we needed to make sure we got to catch up with the expected rate of travel. So, yeah, that was our last action. The AI gets 1 more turn, and then we pass. It would like to take a research action, but alas, it cannot, and so it gets points. Hooray. I wish I got points whenever the thing I wanted to do wasn't available. Alright, so a pass. You go back to ready, you go back to tired. You're tired, we're going to remember to pull our once per turn tokens. These 2 go back to active, which is lovely. So we do have 4 scientists right now. Yeah, I would like to end up on 6. If we can get there. Because I think it would be really cool to score out 2 sets of breakthroughs and 6 boosts on our evacuate. So we'll see. There's enough time left for that to happen. Obviously the cards have to come up right. Okay, so there's that, and then it is impact time. So, first up, that is take an extra construct action. And that is if you use this to build a super project, get 2 extra points. That's gain a morale. That is... receive the recruit bonus associated with your recruited worker 1 extra time. Seems pretty good. That is set the second die, and remove 2 paradox tiles. Oh, right. This thing should flip over. Our beautiful statues. Oh, no. And, of course, the sad part. The Outback Conditioner. That's a weird name for a thing. Spend a worker and 2 water. You may take 1 standard recruit, research, or construct action. Worker restrictions and bonuses from the action still apply. Okay, so the exclamation point is on there to be like, hey, pay attention to what worker you're putting here, because it totally matters for the purpose of the action. That's potentially interesting. Is that Circle DNA is the one we have, actually. So, that said, this is likely to be the final turn, right? That's usually how this works. Yeah, I'm not going to worry too much about it. Okay, so building slide over. I do think this is a pretty good lab, allowing you to set up a 5th mech after you have started moving some mechs out of your bays. And we do actually still have to build 2 labs before we can evac. Yeah, so that's a problem. All right, remember post impact, the top tile is, or the top cube is always a neutronium. And 2 scientists is a little bit of bad news. So it's actually going to be a little tricky to keep the AI off of recruiting a scientist and an engineer if they actually roll their recruit actions. And they're getting to a position where that is feasible. Okay, 4 and 2 are both on mine. Oh, that's also very bad. Yeah, shit, we're not going to be able to stop them. Alright, well, paradox time. There is a single paradox roll. Okay, lucky me. And then power-up time. Of course, we will do this. And then the warp tokens, the AI places 1. That was nice of it. And what do we gotta do? I kind of think we gotta bring in water, because right now we don't have enough water to run that refresh action right away, and I think that that's a thing we ought to fix. And then we could bring in a cube of gold, I suppose. We're not likely to need it, though. The other cubes, which we might actually want, are unfortunately unavailable to us at the moment. I mean, I think this is fine. Just bring in some water to make our lives easier, and then obviously also to warp back next turn. And that makes it action rounds. Please don't roll a mining action. 5 is not a mining action. 5 is wasted, right? Yeah. The AI just out of sheer spite burns the double construct action. I mean, it's fine, I guess. No, it's not fine. It sucks, but we'll live. And then we're unlikely to build a super project this game, frankly, so I don't think we're going to benefit from that either. I mean, maybe that bonus makes it worth it by itself? Like, what if we built this particle collider? Well, we don't have the breakthrough for it, so... yeah, I really don't want to build a super project that we don't have the breakthrough for. Okay, so... what do we want to do? We want to mine. We need to mine, in fact. Let's just go ahead and do that. And it's going to be uranium plus neutronium, I think. Because we're going to end up needing a gold plus 3 uranium plus 2 titanium plus 4 water in order to build these out. Also, I'm just going to take this now. Just go ahead and get that out of the way. Okay. So a 4 is a mining action, and you would prefer to get uranium and gold. So I'm glad I took that mining action. Now, the AI does have the ability to recruit. And we could steal that engineer to prevent them from being able to cap out, but I don't want to have to try to recruit engineer next turn. But the fact is, if we don't take the engineer, they get engineer, and then next turn they recruit scientist, potentially, and we can't stop them from getting scientist because there's 2 of them. Despite the fact that scientist is definitely the right recruit for me. I should have warped in a scientist this turn, so that next turn we could evac with it, and then we could, yeah, probably. Should have warped in a scientist, escaped with it, so that next turn we could evac with it, and then just pop back and pay it off. Well, certainly annoying. Okay, so we need to build. We need to build pretty badly, in fact, but we have to take the recruit action first. So let's throw. It's going to cost us 4 water. Yeah, this is fine. I think I'm going to do this one, which will cost us 1 water. The other one gets us 2 points by moving our morale track up. But this one gets us an extra power core, which we will hopefully turn into more than 2 points. Yeah, I hope so. I hope that I'm doing this right. I would like to believe that the action we will take with the mech that we get from this will be worth at least 2 points. Okay, and then it is the AI's turn. And they do, in fact, roll the recruit action. It was fairly likely to happen. So they take a scientist. I'm glad we grabbed the engineer. It's very, very good. Alright, so now I should build if we build now, it costs us too much water. I think we have to take the refresh now. And I do that with a scientist? I guess it doesn't matter who I do it with, probably. But yeah, we gotta take the refresh now, because I need my workers to be up for stuff. And we don't really want to build here anyway, we want to build there. Alright, so the AI is going to roll 5, which is build a factory, which it can actually do. And that's your last suit. So you build this thing, which is, like, fine. That's a fine building. Alright, so now we are in non-contention land. The magical non-contention land. We're going to start with this. Then the AI. You know what? The AI cannot take a time travel action. So it just... It says takes a time travel action if possible, and I'm going to assume that this is intended to work the same way as all of its other actions, where if it can't do it, it gets a point and 3 water, or 2 water rather. Because it does not have a warp tile in the past, which is the wording in the time travel action. So again, this is it getting 1 point and 2 water instead of 2 points. It's probably not a thing that actually matters too much. Okay, so now we build. So 2 water plus 2 water plus this to build this lab right here. Although I do notice that the other lab that came up is the extra paradox token space, which is certainly not bad for us. But I think we'd be very silly not to take this. And the AI has passed, right? Yeah, you're totally out of suits. So we definitely run this action right now. Pay that to ready a suit. And then we have 2 scientists, an engineer, and a genius. It would be cool to time travel twice. So what we should probably do here is like mine. Right, if we do this, we take titanium. And then we research here, I think. Even though that does cost us a water. Pull 2 of our paradox tokens. And then time travel back to here. Pay titanium. And time travel back to here again. Pay uranium. And this means that next turn we have to... Oh, did I actually... Hold on. I put a guy on the thing and then I didn't actually take a breakthrough. Does it matter? I guess Circle DNA was the only one we actually cared about, right? I guess I should roll Circle again. Yeah, but I should definitely take the breakthrough. It is very unlikely that we're building that super project. I would go so far as to say it's, like, definitely not happening. And that does not quite end the game. There's still 1 capital action available. Okay, so that's the end of action rounds. So we go to phase 6 here. You come back ready because the building says you do. You guys all come back ready. You're tired. You're tired. So are we on... We're only on 4 scientists. So actually, the next... Yeah, we're going to warp in a scientist for sure. We're going to need it. You. Because I really want to bring in another... I want to get another breakthrough. We're actually... We're a little short on suits for all of the things we need to do. Oh, and sorry, all of these are flipped. Oh, shit. We're not going to get everything done. That seems fairly certain at this point. Alright, building slide over. Yo, that's a building that would have been really cool for us that we definitely do not have time for. Well, actually, I guess we have to build a lab. The one build we are trying to take here needs to be a lab, so maybe that is maybe we still have time to actually do this and get a scientist in this way. Oh hey, the fun time machine. And then new one of these. So no geniuses. 2 administrators, which is a big who cares. And one of these. Uh-oh. That's a lot of neutronium. So does the AI have a mine up? It sure fucking does. Of course it does. Okay. Here's the thing, I can't stop it. If it gets the roll, it just gets the neutronium, because I cannot devote 2 mech suits to mining. That is a thing that is not on the table. Alright, so yeah, we did all of the phase 1 stuff. Phase 2, paradox roll. Me and the AI. The AI got its first paradox. I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously, we really needed to not get a double there, and we didn't get a double. Okay, so, power up, right. So we'll pay these. I suppose... Of course, it's also on recruit. So we're going to have to recruit engineer to prevent it from doing that, and we'll get a power core that we can use to replace the mech suit, at least. But that means that we're exceedingly unlikely to get a build action. So actually we can't. We need the build action so badly. Yeah, this is real bad. Okay, so warp phase. Let's warp a scientist. We have 4 scientists right now, so a 5th scientist is 2 points. That's definitely a thing that needs to happen. And then, gosh, we're in a terrible position on this build, aren't we? If we don't get the lab, it's a lot worse than -2 points. So actually, we may have to ignore that guy for the purpose of taking... but this is 5 cubes. Well, no, it's 4 cubes with the discount. Sorry. So we gotta get uranium. So we have to take mine action first and not grab a neutronium. That feels pretty bad. But I do think it's right. Yeah, man. Well, nope, there's no sugarcoating it. That's just very, very bad. Okay, so this is what we warp in. Does the AI also warp? It sure does. I don't think this possibly can matter, but let's go ahead and do it. Let me make sure that I actually take my spoils here. Alright, and then it's our turn first. And this may as well be the empty suit. We take uranium, because we need to build action on our next turn. The AI is going to take a build action. Well, I guess the good news here is that the AI does not get to recruit. The bad news is I don't get my power core. So it's building a power plant. It does get a 3-pointer. Yeah, it ended up with a shit ton of points worth of buildings. So now we build, because we must. So, nope. We literally can't. I need water. I should do this before I forget. And then we need to do the internal water play because I can't spend mechs on that. Yeah. Okay. And you take a time travel action. Thank God that it didn't play a mech suit. And then now we build. Now we have the build. Yeah, if it had played either of these two actions, we'd lose the game so hard. So incredibly hard. So 3 water for the space plus the building cost, plus all 4 of these cubes makes lab, and it's definitely this lab. That's a very good lab for us right now. Okay, so now we can evacuate, and we have a mech suit that is definitely going to have to do that. You roll a 4, and you cannot take a build action, so you receive a point, and I'm not even going to track the water. You're just going to have to deal. And then we are going to do this before the evac. Spend 2 water to recruit a scientist, because that's a 2-point scientist. And then you go ahead, you roll a 3, which is in the recruit space, and that doesn't do anything for you, so you gain a point. You know, the game doesn't actually have to end here. The AI can't research. I'm just realizing. So do I think it would be beneficial to us to avoid ending the game? If we avoid ending the game, what do we do? It's actually a tough question. Because we only have 5 scientists, it's like we could end the game. We could go evac and also grab a breakthrough for the 6th. If we hold off, we can definitely get a 6th scientist going. But in order to make sure next turn's actions are good, we have to get 3 cubes. Which we cannot do. Right, we could go to the mine with our engineer and get 2 cubes. We could go get water with our scientist. And then we have some resources sitting around. And then the AI gets another turn. Shit, it's still fairly likely that the AI is going to pull the neutronium too. Yeah, this is bad, man. If we don't end the game now, on our next turn, we can still build buildings, which the AI cannot do. So it doesn't have that scoring potential. We could get, in fact, we almost certainly will get an anomaly, which obviously is very bad. I think let's just end it. Let's go scientist. Technically, we get to set the die. I don't know, man. Crosshair triangle. And then the AI does not roll a 2. It rolls a 4, which is point. And then we use our last suit to evac. And actually, we're going to end up with some pretty heavy timeline penalties here, too. Yeah, that's bad. Okay, so it's a 15-point evac. 5 pairs plus the base 5. And the AI gets 1 more turn, and then we pass. And on this turn, it rolls a 3, which is, yeah, just a thing it can't do. And then we pass, and that's the end of the game, and I have a hard time believing we won. The AI did not do any super projects, which is certainly helpful. And it doesn't actually have that many victory point tokens sitting around, but it has a huge, huge stack of building points. So, let's figure it out. It ended up in a really good spot on buildings. So we can't pay off any of these. If I'd had one more mech suit, if we'd been able to preserve a power, then we could have cleared up some of that with a trade, but alas. So that's 6 points. Let's just deduct those tokens. And then, go into the thing. So first of all, buildings. For me, building score is 5, 10, 12. Not so good. AI is going to be over double this. So 3, 4, 2. Here's a 10. 2, 2, 3. Okay, here's another 10. And then Jesus Christ. Okay, so just a casual 29. Really, actually very huge. And then super projects, which is nothing. Time travel, which for me is another 12 points. And for the AI is 6. We did beat it on that, at least. Morale is... Is that right? Did I only do that twice? Hold on, we're going to add up the scores, and then if it turns out that the 2 points would matter, I'll go back and check and make sure that I did increment the thing. But I suspect it's not going to. That's my that's my feeling here. And then we did time travel and morale. Raw victory point tokens is for me 19 to 48. And is for the AI... this is 5, right? Yeah, so 12 to 12. That's actually pretty good for us. Timeline penalties I already processed. And then breakthroughs, which for me is 10, right? 6 plus 2 twice takes us to 58. And for the AI is a mere 3. And I do believe that that is a final score. Or potentially it is the case that I have 2 more points than that. But I'm not even going to go check because it doesn't end up mattering. So, would it have been worth it to extend the game an extra turn? Honestly, I think we would have had a pretty weak turn Era 7. And I think it's possible that the AI could absolutely have made up a 3-point deficit. I'm looking at this in disbelief here. I'm trying to make sure. For every warp tile you're unable to remove from the timeline, you lose 2 victory points. We did pay our 6. The AI is not affected by that. And... Yeah, I think this is an actual final score. Y'all, I think we did it. Even though I felt like during the game things were going very poorly, I guess there's a lot to be said for actually doing your time travel. Right, because, like, if you even if you just warp something in, don't use it, and then next turn take an action that costs nothing but a worker to warp it out, it's like you paid nothing to get 2 points. So yeah, of course you want to be doing that a whole bunch. And then, yeah, we got a 15-point evac still, and this turned out to be... Yeah, I guess so. Shout out to this lab, which is a wonderful thing to pull at the very beginning of the game as the path of progress. And I guess that, short of everybody in the comments yelling at me that somehow I missed 5 of the AI's points, is going to be the end of that. And let me tell you something, I'm really, really happy that I managed to put up a win somewhere. So that's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. When you come back next time, hopefully real soon, there is one faction left to play, and I actually think they are maybe the most interesting one. So come back for that, and we'll see you then.